Kindergartens in Germany are part of education. They are not compulsory, but attendance is recommended. The word kindergarten is made up of Kinder, what means children, and Garten. A kindergarten is therefore an enclosed area where children can grow and flourish. The most important thing children learn in a kindergarten is social interaction and always learning new things. Of course, a kindergarten also cares for the children and therefore offers parents opportunity to use this child-free time. But the real goal is not the care, but the opportunity for children to develop beyond their families. Like all educational tasks, the regulation of kindergartens or daycare centers, or Kita, Kindertgesstätte for short, is a matter of the states. This concerns the financing as well as the training. The pedagogical staff in a kindergarten usually needs an intermediate school leaving certificate, for example Realschule or Fachoberschulreife, and then does a 3-year training at a Fachschule or Fachakademie for social pedagogy. During this time, internships are done in kindergartens. After successful completion of the training, the student becomes a staatlich geprüfter Erzieher, state certified educator. Then follows a year of recognition in the kindergarten and the students are staatlich anerkannte Erzieher, state approved educators. During the training, you often have to pay school fees, while in contrast to other apprenticeships, you do not necessarily receive a training salary. This is under discussion and should be changed to make the profession of educators more attractive. There are also pedagogical support staff in the facilities or medical staff such as pediatric nurses. The task of educators is primarily social education and promotion of development rather than academic education. So there is a clear distinction in Germany between educators and teachers. For Germans, it sounds strange to call the educators in the kindergarten teacher, so I will still call them educators here. Nevertheless, a lot is taught to children in these institutions, often without the children realizing it. An educator does not necessarily work only with kindergarten children, but also in the context of open all-day school, with school children, or sometimes in the field of social welfare with children who are difficult to educate in children's homes. Kindergartens are generally open to children from 1 to 6 years of age. From the age of 3, parents have a legal right to a kindergarten place. Unfortunately, there are not always enough places to guarantee this entitlement. How much does a kindergarten place cost? In Berlin and Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, attendance at kindergarten is free of charge, only meals must be paid for. In Hamburg, 5 hours a day or 30 hours a week are free. In Rhineland-Palatinate, children are cared for free of charge from the age of 2, and in Bremen and Lower Saxony, children are cared for free of charge from the age of 3, except for the meal portions. This also applies in Hesse, up to 6 hours a day. In North Rhine-Westphalia and Thuringia, the last 2 years before school enrollment are free, and in Brandenburg the last year before school enrollment is free, except for the meal allowance. In Saxony only the oldest child has to pay a contribution, but in many other states siblings are also free of charge. Exactly how much has to be paid depends again on the federal state, the age of the child, and often on income. Younger children are more expensive than older children, and those who earn more are likely to pay a higher share. Parental contributions typically range from €100 to €400 per month, plus about €60 to €120 for meals if the children participate in the kindergarten meals program. The food in the kindergarten is good and balanced. As a rule, care is taken not to put too much sweets on the table. The food is varied and often the children have a taste of everything. Likewise, there is rarely still pork in kindergartens because there are often Muslims among the children. There are also often already vegetarian dishes. But out of the other things, such as potatoes, spinach, cauliflower, every child usually has to try at least once. Some parents are amazed at what the children eat in kindergarten but spurn at home. This also helps to develop the child's sense of taste and smell. Who are the sponsors of the kindergartens? Typically, there are 5 types of facility provider. First of all, the municipal institutions. If there is no one else, the municipality must run a kindergarten, and they often run kindergartens. They are basically open for everyone. Many kindergartens are run by the major Christian churches. It is often the case that people of faith are more likely to take their children to kindergartens of the corresponding denomination. But it was the case with our children in a Protestant kindergarten that over 30% of the children had a Muslim background, and there were also numerous Catholic or atheists or free church children in the kindergarten. And depending on the time of the year and the festivals, Easter, Christmas or Ramadan are discussed with the children, and sometimes a Protestant or Catholic church or mosque is visited. The advantage of these denominational kindergartens is that the denominational buildings can usually be used quite easy if one wants to visit the church or the community center. Furthermore, there are many welfare organizations that run kindergartens, such as the Arbeiterwohlfahrt, AWO, the German Red Cross, DRK, the Workers' Cemeterian Association, ASB, or the Johanniter. There are also a few specialized providers such as Ebenezer. Some kindergarten are run by parents' initiatives, often with a framework of an association. This sometimes happens because no other sponsor was found in the region, because a certain pedagogical concept was wanted, like Montessori, or because the parents wanted to create something different, like a forest kindergarten. Here often the children of the association members are preferred, or one has to join the association and pay a contribution or work hours for repairs and beautification. Some kindergartens are also privately run by employers. Since employers can reimburse the childcare costs for kindergarten children to parents tax-free, and for families the question of a kindergarten place definitely plays a role in a new job, many companies have created company kindergartens. These are basically for the children of the employers, but sometimes they fill up with other children. In principle, the allocation of daycare places is often in the hands of the youth welfare officers, which also supervise all kindergartens regardless of which provider operates them. Depending on the region, registration at kindergartens is regulated differently. Sometimes you register directly in the kindergarten, and in other places there is a central portal where you specify the kindergarten you want and the number of hours you want to attend. If possible, they try to place the kindergarten close to home or along the roads to work. The kindergarten year begins on 1st of August of a year. The youth welfare officers check in advance how many children are registered where, and therefore grant the funds for the kindergartens. Apart from company kindergartens, the other facilities rely heavily on these funds. About 95% of the costs of a kindergarten are personal costs. Therefore, every institution tries to fill the possible places, but also not beyond that, because there are distribution keys depending on the federal state how many children per educator may be there. If this were exceeded, additional educators would have to be hired. Therefore, one should look for a kindergarten place as early as possible. Siblings are also given priority in the allocation process. In this way, all children can be accommodated at one facility. As parents, you have the right to participate annually in the election of the parents' representation. Depending on the state law, there is a daycare center council in each kindergarten, consisting of parents' representatives and representatives of the educational staff, to discuss things such as meals or closing days. Since the kindergarten educators also have to take a vacation, sometimes the kindergartens regulate differently whether, for example, the kindergarten is closed during the summer vacations when many are on vacation or around Christmas, so that as many kindergarten educators as possible can take a vacation at the same time. Depending on the state law, there are higher level parent representation groups at the youth agency level, all the way up to the state governmental level. In addition to kindergartens, there are also daycare mothers or daycare fathers who are allowed to care up to 5 children depending on the state. These also have training as educators. Depending on the type and construction, kindergartens have group rooms for each group, a gymnasium, a kitchen, a dining area, and an outdoor playground. Sometimes company kindergartens can afford particularly good premises and equipment. If certain things are not available on site, that's where you go. The educators then walk with the children or take public transportation to the playground, church, or theater. Sometimes businesses are visited, such as a bakery, hair salon, fire department, police department, and so on. Sometimes this is done with the big kids, the Riesen, giants, or the Vorschulkinder, preschool kids, those who are in the last year of kindergarten before starting school. Before starting school, children should know how to hold a pen correctly, how to handle scissors, paper and glue, that sometimes you have to draw inside the lines and sometimes you have to sit still for a while and listen and speak up to say something. They mostly learn the numbers from 1 to 10 and can often write their own name without being taught the alphabet yet. Everything else is taught in elementary school and the children should not be taught in beforehand because otherwise they might get bored in elementary school. But the most important thing in kindergarten is togetherness. Sometimes two children want to play with the same toy, or one child doesn't want to play with the other, another one has hurt himself or is doing something that is actually forbidden. In all these situations, the children have to learn how to deal with this. Social behavior is very important. Elementary school teachers regularly curse the situation when children have not learned social interaction because they are only always with the family and do not play with other children outside. There are a few bilingual kindergartens, and there may be parent initiatives from certain culture groups in whose kindergartens a language other than German is spoken. It is always important to learn the native language. If this is not completed sensibly, learning a foreign language is very difficult. However, it is no problem for most children to get along in kindergarten, even with little knowledge of German. Children do not need many words to communicate with each other, and the McFall family was surprised how much German their little daughter learned in kindergarten just along the way. Another advantage of the kindergarten is that the children are seen by professional staff. If there are any problems at home, the professionals can help, and if it could be really bad for the child, the persons can also turn to the youth welfare office to ensure the protection of children. Together with the mandatory preschool examinations U1 to U9, the aim is to ensure that all children grew up healthy and well cared for. The opening hours of kindergartens are usually between about 7 in the morning and 4:30 in the afternoon. Depending on the kindergarten, these can be extended somewhat. I don't know of any kindergarten that offers night shifts. A kindergarten teacher asked me what the day schedule would be like for the child if he or she were to be brought to a kindergarten at night time. Together with the opening hours and the hourly quota for the care, 20 or 25 hours usually only mean care in the morning, with 30 hours then also over lunch, and 40 to 45 hours are usually the maximum care time. For the daily routine, the childcare staff usually tries to bring the children together accordingly and to have the groups fully occupied from a time of, for example, 8 o'clock in the morning. The day often begins with singing or conversation. There is often a common breakfast, for which the children have usually brought something from home, the typical Butterbrot sandwich. Then they do handicrafts or play games. As far as possible, of course, outside. A typical end of the game is then a song. 1, 2, 3, das Spielen ist vorbei. Alle Kinder, groß und klein, räumen jetzt das Spielzeug ein. 1, 2, 3, playtime is over. All children, big and small, put away the toys now. Around 12:30 there is then lunch for the kids, who stay over lunch and then often a nap. In the afternoon it's back to playing, crafts or maybe some research. Why does snow melt? Why do leaves fall from trees? Why does wood float but stones don't? Apropos the outdoor. Some people wonder why Germans wear slippers. They haven't been to a kindergarten yet. Every child in a kindergarten has of course the street shoes with he came and which he puts on outside to play. But if it rains outside, of course it has its rubber boots. Depending on the region, snow boots can also be added. For indoors, he has his slippers, and for sports, maybe also sports shoes. And these are only the shoes in the kindergarten. Rain suit, mud pants, snow pants, and sports stuff may well be added, and in any case to put on a second set. After all, sometimes a little mishap can happen. On the other hand, it may well be that private toys or cuddly toys are not allowed in the kindergarten. This varies from institution to institution, and each regulation is justified. Sometimes the child feels more comfortable with a cuddly toy, but the other way around, there are sometimes disputes about the toy. And of course, there are no electronic toys here. The train is made of wood and the building blocks too, or maybe plastic because Lego is so nice to build with. If you have questions on your specific case, either visit an institution or ask at the local youth welfare office. If you have one, the JEP, Jugendamts Elternbeirat, the Parents Association at the level of your youth welfare office, is always helpful. These are parents like you, only their kids are already in a kindergarten in any of the areas of your youth welfare office. If there are any other questions, just post them in the comments or email me. I'll help as best as I can. What happens after kindergarten? Here in the education playlist you can learn all about education in Germany. And with a subscription there are even more things from Germany and why it is done the way it is done. Thanks for your attention and see you next time.